Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Well, it has happened. Yisan is back with a vengeance. So I played these games mostly in the tournament practice lobby, and right now Yisan is 5-1 right now. And this was, as you can see, a rematch that he wanted to swap decks to a slightly different deck. So I'm gonna chalk that up too. He knows I'm gonna play Yisan again, and he's gonna pick the deck that does best against Yisan, I think. And you can, I'll go over that game as well. So we start with a Noisy Zoku. Let's jump right into the games. You guys, we're so excited for Yisan to come back. You have no idea how excited I am. I'll go to the deck list after I jump through the games real quick. I'm just gonna play, and we'll go have at it. Got a Thrasios Tymna. Got a 1-land draw, but I feel pretty good about it. So we're gonna go with the Arbor Elf. I was on the play or on the draw, so I was hoping to get a second land. Missed the second land. Go with the Elvish Visionary. Try to hit the land. Missed that as well. I'm definitely not gonna ever play Concordant Crossroads against him because it means he might be able to get a Tymna activation, and my opponent cycles a chart, probes me, sees my nuts hand if I get a second land. There we go. Alright, so I expect that he's holding up counter magic for Isan, so I run out Earthcraft. I also mistap with Arbor Elf. I tap it first, but so I could have been force spiked there stupidly, and my Earthcraft countered, but it wasn't. So or I wasn't force spiked. It was countered by Supreme Will. I slam Fauna Shaman, so right now I'm just deploying threats that my opponent has to answer, and I don't even have to deploy Yisan yet because my hand is so stacked. My opponent scoops before I even deploy Yisan once, and a Shrouded Fauna Shaman is pretty terrifying for the deck, and he had very rough mana in this game for sure. So we were on the timer to play game 2. This was set up as a match, and we were talking. As much as they like to change things in the format, they apparently don't like to address the blatant bugs in their program, and it just drives me absolutely insane. I might have to resubmit another report. Noisy Zoku, game 2. And I won the dice roll here, and I offered him play or a draw because I did win the first round. So he was like, "Oh, I'll play." So if you're making a new lobby, it's just courteous to do that. Let me just look at this hand for a sec. Look how juicy this hand is. All right, so I have two different options for turn 1 or turn 2 Yisan. I also have the option of going turn 1 ramp, turn 2 charge Jeweled Amulet, and play Lightning Greaves off the ramp from Green Sun Zenith. Because this is permanent ramp, this is temporary, I'm more inclined to use Zenith to ramp than Jeweled Amulet on turn 1. So then I can charge Jeweled Amulet and deploy Lightning Greaves, and then on turn 5, I'll be able to, on turn 3 instead of turn 2, I'll be able to deploy Yisan and Greaves him in the same turn. And then we're just off to the races. I also have an infinite mana combo in my hand, Umbral Mantle plus Elvish Archdruid. As soon as Archdruid taps for 4 or more, we're off to the races. Infinite mana with Yisan in play and haste in my hand. Even if Yisan's dead by that point, as long as I get 4 elves, so 3 activations off Yisan, which I will get elves every single time to try to make this Archdruid lethal, I slam Umbral Mantle, equip Elvish Archdruid immediately with Mantle, and then equip him with Lightning Greaves, tap on tap, create infinite mana, replay Yisan, put Lightning Greaves on it, or put Umbral Mantle and then Lightning Greaves on Yisan, tap on tap, you get it. Put every creature from my deck into play, and also, by the way, Elvish Archdruid is a XX. Basically, I just make sure that on activation 3 of Yisan, I get Izuri, and I can give Elvish Archdruid Trample. So he is an XX haste trampling beast, and at that point the game's effectively over. I just make sure that at one point I get one of my untappers back into play, so that way I can untap Elvish Archdruid main 2. Let's say my opponent fogs, and I'll be able to go off to the races again and put more creatures in play if somehow my opponent survives combat. So he's on the Thrasios Tymna again. I'm just gonna hit play. So that's my plan right now. He get probes my god hand. And Forest, go. So I'm going to go get the Dryad Arbor here. Absolutely. He goes no land. Pass. I don't equip the Greaves here. Probably incorrectly, but oh well. I charge up the Amulet. And oh man, Verdant Catacombs Lotus Cobra. So I get a free Lotus Cobra this turn, plus Yisan, plus Greaves, and Wirewood Symbiote. What a play. My opponent hits their second land on turn 3, and on my turn... I'm going to be going on to turn 4. I'm opening up with 5 mana, Lotus Cobra, Shrouded Hasted Yisan, and Wirewood Symbiote. It couldn't get any better. Like, it just doesn't get better. Wirewood Symbiote is able to get any elf, or no, Yisan could go to an elf. I did I don't know if it works in the replay. Yeah, so I drew a card. I was going to hit, I believe Cavernous Souls was my land. So I was going to have activate Yisan, go get an elf, use Wirewood Symbiote, bounce, or I would go get Quirion Ranger, I think. Actually, I don't even need, even without the lands, I can go get Quirion Ranger, bounce a forest, untap Yisan, replay the forest, get 2 mana off of it. So it'd be 1, 2, 3, activate Yisan, I have 2 left. Bounce the forest, activate, untap Yisan, replay the forest, get 1, 2, 3 of 4 mana, tap Yisan again, going to 2 to get a 2 mana thing, use Wirewood Symbiote to untap Yisan, bounce and Quirion Ranger, 1 mana to replay Quirion Ranger. Yeah, the deck just goes crazy at this point, absolutely crazy, and I am getting elves all along the way, so... after missing the land drop and then getting Thrasios down without having white or black for kill spells, and I have a Shrouded Yisan, Noisy Zoku knows the game's over. And it's sort of what Yisan does. People are living in terror of him right now. I am feeling it. I'm feeling the Yisan love. A0103, I believe. A03170. All right. So I see a good opening hand if I had... any type of land, but I was missing land. See a very good second hand, and I have a duplicate Terrastodon, and I tucked the Deranged Hermit, the Squirrel Maker, because I really don't need it in this hand, and I don't want another top curve. I'd rather get lower end stuff. So I deploy Elvish Mystic here first. Utopia Sprawl makes mana the turn it comes down, and Mystic doesn't. So theoretically, I'll be able to deploy Mystic this turn, and then next turn use the second land to enchant one of my forests, and then make 3 mana and play Yisan. So I can play Sprawl plus Yisan on the same turn. And that's why you deploy the things that don't have haste first. Utopia Sprawl is effectively a mana dork that has haste, as long as you have a second land to enchant. My opponent goes with Thrasios. They're playing Thrasios Tymna. This is a different player, but so I get to turn to Yisan. My opponent, for their credit, has Frantic Search. Untap their land into Putrefy on my Yisan. It's coming up right now. And that's exactly what they needed to do. They needed to get it in there, because against the white-black deck, I will, when I'm not about to like combo in 2 turns, or next turn, I'm going to get Sylvan Safekeeper first because of targeted removal like this. Basically, Yisan is have targeted removal now or never be able to target him. So I slam the Jeweled Amulet and the Forest, and because I have 5 mana, I just get to redeploy Yisan immediately because of this double ramp hand. And this is really where the ability to have 16 different ways to get Yisan on turn 2 means you have 16, if you get 2 of them in your opening hand, or your opening 10 cards, so to speak, you have 16, that many ways to get a second cast of Yisan on turn 3, theoretically. And it's just absolutely broken how fast Yisan can come out, especially in mono green. I slam Yisan. I have 5 mana. I could charge to 6 for the following turn, and then I'll have Yisan again. I'll have Scrib Ranger to play. So I'll pay 2, play Scrib Ranger, untap Elvish Mystic, bounce Forest, replay. So Scrib Ranger will be free. It's also pro blue, blocks Thrasios forever. I'll be able to charge Jeweled Amulet, and then next turn replay Yisan at 6, or at 7, cost of 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then Scrib Ranger 7, 8 theoretically. Or I can just Terrastodon him. I can just Terrastodon 3 lands on turn 5, and you don't even need natural order. Yisan for days, guys. Yisan for days. All right, Benny Frenzy. This is the first game, and he was playing Karador. And all right, so opening hand, I have Greenstone Zenith. It's keep. I got a second land and Greenstone Zenith. Snap keep. Throne of Amethyst is sort of like a mulligan against Karador. It's a lot of a creature-based deck, so it's not as good, but it's better against them than it is against me. So I don't mind it. I'm definitely gonna go get Dryad Arbor. Forest. I play Forest here. I don't want to expose myself to Wasteland. Well, I mean, I am exposed to Wasteland, but I'd rather than waste Dryad Arbor than Nykthos. Because this dies to Mass Removal, Nykthos dies to exactly Wasteland. They go with the Bloom Tender. Don't really mind that. I make a misplay coming up. So Let me see. I think I just shipped the turn here. So my opponent taps 3 and puts down Chromatic Lantern. And now I'm playing against white black deck. What is the rule when playing against white black deck that I'm not about to combo? I go and get Sylvan Safekeeper, and I don't do it. So I activate Yisan. First of all, I activate Yisan when he has mana open. I should have done it in response to Chromatic Lantern before he gets mana open, so he can't Swords or Path me. And I go get Sakura Tribe Scout. I got way too greedy with Tribe Scout because I could go get Scrib Ranger on turn 2, use Sakura Tribe Scout to start doubling up my land drops. But I got greedy. I should have immediately got Sylvan Safekeeper, and I think that's just going to be the rule. If I'm not going to combo in 1 or 2 turns, and I'm not afraid of mass removal or spot removal, I need to go get. If I'm slightly afraid of spot removal, and I'm not about to combo, I need to just get Sylvan Safekeeper. It's just going to be a rule that I need to follow. So I get to cultivate, slam 2 lands, and 2 mana. I'll throw down the Thorn. Glad I didn't have that down earlier. That would have cost. My opponent, Sin Collectors me, sees a skint miss and looking at my hand scoops. And I do not blame him. So next turn I got 1, 2, 3, 4. I get Temur Sabertooth down or Elvish Visionary. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, so if I draw 1 land on my turn, I get to slam Temur Sabertooth. And then activate Nykthos for 3, being able to put down Elvish Visionary. And if I draw another land off that, I get Sakura Tribe Scout to tap and put the land into play, and then I'll be able to bounce Elvish Visionary and start a Temur Sabertooth Elvish Visionary chain. The next turn, I'll be able to put down Seedworm Muse and go absolutely insane. That said, this coming turn was probably going to be a Reclamation Sage Elvish Visionary type of turn, and just get some card advantage and wreck that Chromatic Lantern before it does too much for my opponent. Very good Yisan. And my opponent said he wanted to play another game. I figured he was going to queue up the Karador again, and he wanted to try to his hand at a shot at a better hand. But as soon as I see the my opponent has switched to Breya, and so he switched to a deck that is much more favored against Isan. And I don't mind if you would say you want to, hey, can I try a different deck? That would be fine, but tell me that you're going to use another deck. Maybe I'll switch decks and I'll try something else if you just want to play against me again. Or hey, can I test my Breya deck against your Yisan? Yeah, sure, man. I don't mind. So this is also my fault. So I keep a slow hand. I don't keep a turn 2 Yisan hand, and that's probably a mistake here. So he goes Strionic Resonator. I get a turn 3 Yisan with 1 mana open, and he does nothing. So I put down Seeker Skybreak. He cast Doge. So he kept a hand specifically for Yisan, and he knew what kind of hand to keep because he pulled the deck to play against Yisan. So I checked to make sure I don't want to put anything into play. And now I deploy Wirewood Symbiote, Priestess Titania. My opponent goes with, I believe, Breya this turn. Yep. And ships. So I pick up Azuri, and I believe I go with Deranged Hermit this turn. And then Priestess Titania make 2 mana act. Oh, and I make a mistake here. I activate Priestess Titania to make 2 mana, and then I use Wirewood Symbiote to untap Priest. I should have activated Nykthos first when I had Deranged Hermit in play, so I would have got 1, 2, 3, 4, then bounced to untap and get 5, and I would have been able to make another set of 4 squirrels here, and then bounce Deranged Hermit on my opponent's turn when Wirewood Symbiote is live again, and then be able to play it on my turn to make another 4 squirrels and make the 8 squirrels that I had prior to that 2/2s and crash in for 16 points of damage if he can't block, which would have been actually pretty significant. So I make a huge misplay here, and it cost me a lot of potential damage. I have to play Azuri instead. He goes with the Gilded Lotus and Flight of Fancy, and I just draw 2 cards. He copies the Flight of Fancy ETB trigger after flickering everything. Yep, you got it. Flicker everything, copy Flight of Fancy. You got it. Up to 9. So theoretically, I would have been able to pay 5, slam Deranged Hermit into play here, activate Priestess Titania for 2, activate Nykthos again for 1, 2, 3, 4, put Azuri into play, bounce. I theoretically I could bounce Azuri and activate Priest again, but I wouldn't actually be producing additional mana. I'm trading 2 for... I'm trading 3 for 2, so it's not a great deal. But I would have been able to charge the Relic and bounce the Deranged Hermit again after attacking with all those squirrels. So theoretically, I should be attacking for him for 16 right here. And I'm not. I'm attacking him for 4 or 6 or whatever. So I tap and untap here, and I realize I'm just short of being able to Terrastodon him, which is what I really needed to do here, I think, if I wasn't attacking for that much after my misplay. So I duplicate because I need to get Brego off the board. It's also plausible that I should have used... So this was more of a greedy play. I should have probably used Woodland Beller to get a Reclamation Sage and killed Strionic Resonator, because this might actually kill me. And I was thinking more, let's kill Brego and stem the card advantage. Then it really depends on what's in his hand. And I'm making a gamble that his hand's not super good, but he did just draw 2 cards. So we'll see. I'm also opening up myself to Wrath. If he wants to cast a Wrath, I'd rather him Wrath his own Brego away as well. So Exclusion Ritual is my Wirewood Symbiote. And since he's targeting Wirewood Symbiote and not the Priest of Titania, this should have been my first clue that... I mean, granted, I can just bounce Priest in response. I should have bounced Priest immediately. As soon as he's trying to hit my Symbiote, get Priest out of the board, because I need Priest to recover from a Wrath. And I don't, and I pay the price, especially after that tapping and untapping of making his mana. I should have seen that as Verdict mana, and I don't. So I pay the price for it. So I've made a couple series of misplays. I'm going to play Yisan, tell him to answer Yisan, and here's where he sort of goes crazy. He has Thran Dynamo into a kicker of 4 on Everflowing Chalice into casting Brego. Just enough. I'm going to charge. Alright. I get a Forest. Not really what I wanted there. I tap and untap. I want to keep 3 forests open. Totally play around Wasteland so I can activate Yisan as late as possible. Of course, I believe this is the turn. Yeah. So he goes Aven Fogbringer. And once he puts everything into play, I'll just show the loop once and then fast forward through by just clicking jump to end. So he bounces a Forest. In response, I'm going to Safekeeper Isan, give him Shroud. I'm going to Safekeeper itself when he uses Brego to try to hit Safekeeper. He Muldrifters. If you're familiar with how Brego works, you'd see that he does have infinite combat step mana of any color because of Lotus, Strionic Resonator. Gets Nevermaker, which is non-land permanents, go on top. So he's got a land hate and a non-land hate. And that's basically what matters here. So he can remove all of my permanents that don't have Shroud. And I have a couple options. I can keep Deranged Hermit and not be able to pay for it. So not really a point. Safekeeper I want to keep around because otherwise it's going to be exiled by Ritual. And Squirrels, they don't make sense to keep, so I don't want to trade lands for it. So he puts that on top of my deck to make sure I don't draw anything good. And here's how Brego works. So you'll see that so he kept Gilded Lotus and Strionic Resonator untapped. He targets all of his stuff with Brego's ability and then copies Brego's ability. That copy targets all of the things that he wants to flicker again, so these 4 and these 3, and maybe Brego. I don't know, that's his call. So then he puts a copy on the stack. So the copy should resolve. There we go. Strionic Resonator. So they all flicker, and now he puts all of the abilities on the stack again. Now, note, he's floating 1 Brego activation on the stack here, and he has Strionic Resonator able to be activated again. And that's exactly how Brego works. So you'll notice the Gilded Lotus taps for 3 mana, or he has Thran Dynamo as well. So he's producing 6 mana, and it's costing him 2, so he's producing 4 mana per cycle. And this is put target non-land permanent on top of its owner's library, and return target land to its owner's hand. Now, you would think that infinitely doing these would deck himself, make him have to bounce all of his lands and put all of his non-land permanents on top of the library. However, Strionic Resonator says you may choose new targets for the copy, meaning that when you copy Brego's ability, you may target, like, say, Gilded Lotus twice with the ability. It only matters once, but you don't have to keep all of the same targets. So once all of my board is gone, he will stop flickering Aven Fogbringer and Nevermaker, and theoretically Muldrifter after he hits his kill condition. So truthfully, so I tell him, look, I see that you have infinite mana. Show me a blue sun. cast Blue Sun Zenith in response to Exclusion Ritual, and for X equals whatever, and I'll scoop, so you don't have to go through the whole iteration. And he's like, oh, well, I think combat might be faster. It's like, no, you don't. Just show me that you have Blue Sun Zenith or Stroke of Genius in hand, so I know that it's in your deck, theoretically, and I'll scoop to it, because I know he has infinite blue mana here. He also has infinite draw for his deck. His deck is at an odd number of cards, so theoretically, Blue Sun could be the last card, but I'm sure that he has some instant speed way of selecting one card off the top of his library. And so I'm going to jump to the end. He opportunities, goes through all of these loops, and then he casts Blue Sun at my face. Where's the chat? Draw 0 cards with Blue Sun Zenith, and I scoop to that. And that's the game. So I make a series of misplays. I don't kill... First of all, I misplay with the... what is it? It's in my exile, isn't it? Yeah, the Deranged Hermit. So I misplay with that, and I could have attacked him for 16, but it wouldn't have mattered. And then I misplay with the Woodland Bellower and don't kill the Resonator, and that's my mistake. That's it. I made 2 very bad mistakes, and Breya punished me well for it. So I know you guys like seeing me lose every now and then, talk about which mistakes I make. Final game, Boogeyman. Let's just jump through it. Boogeyman is playing the Boogie Gitrog monster. Significantly weaker without Strip Mine in it, because I'm basically immune to the Wasteland cycles of Gitrog monster. And you want to Ghost Quarter me forever? I don't mind. So I got a sweet opening hand. I have turn 2 Yisan. I have a Dryad Arbor, Everflowing Chalice. I have some ramp. Nor what if he has an artifact start, but this is probably dead against him. He's got a Bop. Fine by me. I am faster than Bop. So Yisan comes down. My opponent goes with Llanowar Wastes here, and then him to Torax me. And I'm worried for a sec that he's going to hit Crater. He hits Null Rod. Fine, totally dead. And I lose Fauna Shaman. That's okay. I would have liked to lose Dryad Arbor, but he hit one of the cards that I would have wanted him to hit, so I don't mind as much. I get to deploy Chalice because I top decked a non-Dryad Arbor land and still be able to use Yisan. And this is really where the deck swings. So I'm planning to hit him with Craterhoof and just win in 2 turns' time. And it's absolutely great. If he can't disrupt me, Craterhoof hits him on my turn 5, and he loses the game. So this is really where, and this board state doesn't really look dangerous, but it really should look dangerous. I have a Yisan activating at 1, and you haven't done anything in response. So this is sort of that situation where instead of getting a Sylvan Safekeeper, I decided to go for the Quirion Ranger line. It's faster. It's so explosive. I do have a kill condition, so I'm not going infinite, but I have the kill condition, and that's where I need to be here. Pick up the Range Hermit. Pretty sweet. But this is going to be a Yisan turn. So I got to kill Sylvan Library here. So I'm going to go get Priest of Titania, guarantee my mana. It looks innocuous. Yisan is scary. It's put 2 cards into play for me. You got to kill Yisan, man. So, and I'm going to go get a 3rd elf in Reclamation Sage, kill the Sylvan Library. And I'm killing the Sylvan Library specifically because I do not want him to hit mass removal. The less chance of him having mass removal, the better. If he kills Yisan this turn, fine. I'm going to slam him with Craterhoof for significant points of damage. Misty Rainforest. All right, play Gitrog. Come on. I know you want Gitrog in private. Nope. Ooh, Ob Nixilis. He kills Yisan. Oh my god. To be fair, that is a really tough decision here. Do you kill Yisan or do you kill the explosive amount of mana? Because right now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then untap a forest, replay forest, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 mana I can produce on my turn. 8 of which is from Priest of Titania. Absolutely. Like, if you kill Priest, you cut off 8 of my mana and reduce me down to 6. It's still 6 mana. It's still a lot of mana. So I could have played Deranged Hermit here. I decided not to. I know I have the kill anyway, and I don't want to... I want to sandbag Deranged Hermit if somehow he's got something like Elvish Spirit Guide into Fog. I don't want to deploy all of my threats all at once. This also gives me different options. So slam Dryad Arbor, slam Craterhoof, and he says, oh, gee. I said, that might have been a misplay. I don't know I really don't know which is correct here. Do you kill Priest or do you kill Yisan? I mean, Yisan's threatening to go to 4 next turn, or 5 and 5. And truthfully, I would probably go 5-5 here because it lets me get a we'll jump to the deck in a moment. 5. So I could go 4-5 or I could get 5-5, and we'll take a look, see which way would be better. Probably be 4-5, truthfully. But so I get Craterhoof. I bounce Forest, untap Reset Titania for the combat zone. I got a play the Dryad Arbor prior to Craterhoof for the +5 to my team, or average of +5 across my board. So it definitely makes sense, even though it can't attack, and crash to the red zone. Now, what I could have done here is keep the priest back and keep the priest and the mystic back, attack for 7, 15, 26, but that wouldn't be lethal. So I could have played the Deranged Hermit probably, and if I had played the Deranged Hermit, that's an additional 5, so it'd be 5, 10, 15 power across the 3 of these, and I wouldn't have been able to keep priest and mystic back, which would allow me to replay Yisan because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 elves in play. So maybe I should have done that, but absolutely broken. Absolutely devastating. Look at that, 28 to -12. What a game. Alright, so let's jump over to the deck list collection. So this is what we are running with right now. So 4-5 would have been Chameleon Colossus. He's playing, yeah, I probably would have gotten 4-5. Oracle, Karametra, no. I probably would have gotten Chameleon Colossus because with the amount of mana, I can just totally kill him with Chameleon. And 5, I could have gotten Seaboard Muse, or maybe I would have gotten Whisperword, play around the Wrath. It's really a tough call. I probably wouldn't have gotten Sabretooth there because I don't have a haste outlet to go infinite. That's it. If I had a haste outlet, I definitely would have gotten Teamer Sabretooth and then probably Seedborn Muse or Acidic Slime, just cut him off on mana. If I top deck a haste outlet or an elf, or a way to get haste. So Sabretooth could have been correct also, but I think Seedborn 5 I wouldn't have hated 5 at all if I got like Seedborn Muse Whisperwood. I would have felt really good about getting both of them. So like, all right, I'm getting massive untaps, but if you kill my board, I get a ton of manifests. Fine by me. Very, very broken deck. That was turn 5 that I attacked for 28 plus 12, 40 damage. Huh. Seems good. Seems good with Yisan. So playing Dryad Arbor, Ancient Doom, Cavern. Now keep in mind Cavern's bugged, so you have to name human. That said, with his deck, you always want to name human. Spirit. So it is 25 forests, Misty, Nykthos, Verdant, Wasteland, Windswept, Wooded Foothills, and Yavimaya Hollow. So you'll notice I play 1, 2, 3 lands that don't produce green mana. Sorry, 4 with Wasteland. So 4 lands that don't produce green mana, but one of which is your crop rotation target. You have two. Cavern of Souls and Ancient Tomb are the default crop rotation targets because crop rotation for Ancient Tomb gives you turn 2 Yisan, so it's one more way to get him. And crop rotation Wasteland is sort of the in your pinch, and Cavern of Souls is against control, so very, very strong. We also have Chrome Mox, Everflowing Chalice, Jeweled Amulet, and Mox Diamond. So Chalice sort of is a 2-drop at minimum, so it should be there. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 if you're against a blue deck. So we'll put that up there. 8, 9, 10, 11. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 15 different ways to go turn 2 Yisan. Furthermore, you can also just draw Ancient Tomb, so it's technically 16 if you have Forest Ancient Tomb in hand. Absolutely broken. Totally more than 15% of this deck. Probably almost close to 20% of the deck because you do run the 99 cards, and your opening hand is 7 cards plus 1, 9 cards by turn 2. So you're looking at 10% of your deck in the first 2 turns on average, and more than 15% of your deck. You have 16 different ways to have turn 2 Yisan out of your your 10% of the deck that you have in your opening hand plus 2. So insane. Concordia Crossroads and Greaves, part of the combo. Skull Clamp is there for good value. This actually might be cut. It depends. Quirion Ranger, part of the package, part of the package, part of the package, part of the package. Earthcraft is on my list of potential cuts as well. Visionary, Fauna Shaman, Lotus Cobra is a new addition. Now that I have the full fetch suite on Moto, I threw the Lotus Cobra in. My god. Therese Nielsen makes amazing art. I would want to get a print of this or a playmat of this for sure in real life. Priest, part of the package. Tri-Builder, part of the ramp, also potential cut list. Scrib Ranger, part of the package, part of the package. Amazing card, well worth including. Null Rod and Revoker, Necessary Evils, Seer Resistance, Thorn of Olympus, Winter Orb. We are a stacks deck. I know it doesn't feel like it. We feel more like a combo stacks deck. Removal, a little bit of ramp. I would like to cut Cultivate. I'm going to keep Beast Within in for sure, but I would like to cut Cultivate potentially. Maybe the Farhaven Elf is correct here. I might like that because it is a comes into play ramp, so it's effectively a 3-mana Solemn Simulacrum for us. It doesn't draw a card when it dies, but it's an elf. That's better. So this might be better as Farhaven Elf. I'm not sure. We got the Fierce Empath, Nissa, Rex Sage, Wood Elves. I mean, we do have Wood Elves at 3, so I don't know. Maybe Cultivate's good, maybe not. Elvish Archdruid, Ewit, Izuri. Ewit's another reason you want to name Human and not like Rogue or Shaman for Cavern, is because you can make an uncounterable Yisan and an uncounterable Ewit. Trinisphere, absolutely broken. Like if you have the option to turn 2 Yisan or turn 2 Trinisphere, you play turn 2 Trinisphere. It just shuts decks down. It's a must counter spell for so many decks, and you can totally operate fine without it. You play Yisan on turn 3, it's fine. If you went first, they have 2 mana, and they can't stop Yisan. Then they only have 3 mana, and you then go get your 1-drop Shroud, and good luck for them having 2 spells that both have targeted removal to activate in response to you activating Shroud. And all they could effectively do is double Stern on you, and it costs them 6 mana. If you go Trinisphere into Yisan, you will basically win the game. I don't see how anyone can come back from that. Keep in mind, this does interact with the combo poorly of T-Burn Sabertooth plus Haste, because you need the Priest of Titania or Elvish Archdruid to produce 1 more mana than you normally would. Well, Priest of Titania. Archdruid normally costs 3. So you need to essentially act as if you're going to combo with Archdruid, meaning you need to have your Elf Priest produce 6. Meaning, so 3 for its cost, 2 to the bounce, and then 1 to put in the pool. Just notable inclusion with when you play Trinisphere, Thorn of Sphere Resistance, 6 with Priest or 7 with Archdruid. So it's much harder to do with Archdruid. Acolyte's probably the easiest to do it with, actually, because Devotion's easier to make off of all of your two things, and Sabertooth itself produces 2 mana, so 2, 3, plus Yisan's 4. So you're already making its cost, and that's only 3 of the pieces, which is pretty good. Null Mage feels like a necessary evil. I don't think I want to cut it, but I haven't encountered situations where I want to tutor for it yet. Oracle, it's Green's Jace. It's so incredibly broken. Chameleon Colossus, if you can protect Chameleon Colossus from mass removal against a mono black deck, you basically won't lose. As long as you can make sure they don't hit like Damnation exactly, you're in fantastic shape. The reason that the best way to protect Chameleon Colossus in the mono black, if you know you're going against mono black, which you should after you draw your hand, your first tutor might want to be Wirewood Symbiote if you don't draw it naturally, so that way in response to Wrath you can bounce your own Chameleon Colossus. Keep in mind it's an elf, so Symbiote allows you to bounce it to your hand and protect it from that Wrath that they play. So they hit your Symbiote, so Colossus effectively needs 2 Wraths to kill it, which is a lot asking, especially in a tutorless format now. Acidic Slime, Deranged Hermit, Seedborn, and Whisperwood. This is further Wrath protection. It's not protection in the sense that you get to keep everything, but you do get a new board out of it. So, furthermore, and it does create an army on its own when you go for 5. I will tutor for this against the white-black decks at 5 if I'm not going for a combo. Deranged Hermit, it's sort of there because it's good. Woodland Bellower and Duplicant as the 6s. One of the notable cuts that I cut from the old list was Stingerfling Spider. There's just less flying now. There's just less flying threats that you need to deal with the format slowed down significantly. So I don't think it's necessary. I cut it for Court of Calling, which feels a lot better in the deck. I've only drawn Court of Calling. No, I don't think I've drawn Court of Calling once yet. But I feel like Court of Calling is probably better, especially because you can get something like that Revoker that you want, or the Duplicant with it. You're not green sunning, and it's instant speed. So instant speed Duplicant feels pretty sweet. Hornet Queen and Regal Force are our 7-drops. Hornet Queen is significantly better than Avenger. Do not run Avenger in Yisan because, keep in mind, you run land light. So usually when you're putting a 7-drop into play with Yisan, if you haven't already won yet, you might have only 3 or 4 lands. So if you have 4 lands, you get 4 plants, but they're O1s. Hornet Queen makes 1/1 flying Death Touchers, and you get 4 of them. So it's significantly better than Avenger or Zendikar. Regal Force needs no explaining. It's a massive draw effect. Terrastodon and Craterhoof. I'm on the fence about Terrastodon because we don't get to play the natural order package anymore. What I would probably cut for Terrastodon would be, or add in place of Terrastodon, would be Eldritch Evolution. Maybe that's what cold. No, I don't want to cut. I don't want to cut ramp for non-ramp, like getting the evolution. But I might cut Terrastodon for Eldritch Evolution. I'm not sure. I'm really on the fence because Terrastodon is just one of those effects that it's so good to have in the deck. Like, get totally cutting them off white mana when you're playing against a white green deck, and they don't have a green wrath. So the current potential cuts are probably Earthcraft and Skullclamp. I might cut the Earthcraft for the, like, it hurts cutting the ramp, but I think Skullclamp might be better in the deck. If you have any ideas, let me know in the comments down below. I don't want to go back and forth and make the video any longer than it needs to be. Hope you guys got to enjoy Yisan, and actually see me make a couple misplays. I know it happens every now and then. Not too often. I try to improve a lot, and I love hearing from some of your comments. What misplays you see me make. If I haven't talked about them myself, it helps me get better as a player. And if you're spotting misplays that I'm making, I can certainly say with confidence that you're getting better as a player watching me make some mistakes and sort of seeing those lines. And it's all about training yourself to see what information your opponent's giving you, what mana they're leaving up. Are they trying to bluff you? Or are they not trying to bluff you? Did they just let something automatically resolve that they should have probably countered? Maybe they don't have a counter. Maybe they don't realize that it's a threat to them. So it's about seeing those lines. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share my content to anyone you think is going to enjoy it. And if you want to support me on Patreon for $1 or more, $1 a month, or however much you would like to, you can follow the link on screen now. All right. See you all in the next one.